Namaste, everyone. Welcome to the Pranic Healing Podcast. Today we have Nirav Shah, and we're going to talk about pranic healing for healing mental and emotional health conditions. So we know mental health is very popular nowadays, and pranic healing, at least for that I know of, is one of the best tools that we can use as a complementary therapy to traditional medicine. So please welcome Nirav Shah.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason.
All right. So welcome, Nirav. Thank you for coming on. And just please share us a little bit of information about yourself and how you kind of got started with like pranic healing.
So I'm a software engineer. I came into Pranic Healing several years ago. I was going. Uh, I was actually in a PhD program at University of Texas at Dallas on working on a degree in computer science. And PhD programs are hard because they do not have a structure. You are supposed to create something new, so it is intimidating. And as per the statistics, more than 70% of the students in the US drop out from the PhD programs. And I was probably going to be part of that statistic. So I was having a hard time getting my research done and getting being able to focus. And that's when my sister actually suggested that I should get some pranic healing sessions. And I did those. I found them helpful. And nothing happened at the moment. Nothing happened immediately for me, but then I knew that this is going to help me longer term. And then a year later, I took some more sessions, and then I decided that I want to learn how to do this so that I can do it whenever I want on my own. And that's how I started my pranic healing journey. And after that, somehow I found the focus, and I was able to find a direction for my thesis and get all of it sorted and done. And I also got a good job about the same time. So I was working and studying for my program. So that was intense, but I was able to get all of that taken care of, thanks to pranic healing.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. I mean, I didn't know about that statistic. 70% of PhD students drop their
Yes,
program?
yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm happy that you're part of the minority
30%.
30% in that case, but that's sort of an incredible story. So it sounded like pranic healing, sort of getting those initial sessions, really helped you kind of overcome that initial hurdle. And then, like you said, you eventually took the classes and you started doing healing for yourself afterwards. And it sounded like
That
you
was
were pretty
my intention.
successful.
I wanted to do the healings on myself whenever I needed to be worked on.
Mhm.
And that's how I started with the pranic healing classes.
That's great. So that's amazing to hear, Narav. You know, for the audience out there that hasn't received pranic healing sessions, initially, what did you feel changed? Because something positive changed because you kept on getting the sessions, right?
So the first day I went to a pranic healer, I had gone to visit my family in Mumbai, India. That's where I'm from. And the first day I went to uh, a pranic healing session. The person just scanned my aura. So it looked something like this. I'm like, I have no idea what these people are doing. Like, what are they? Uh, I was not convinced. But then at the same time, the healer told me that my liver seems slightly swollen, and my dad is a doctor. So that night, out of curiosity, I just asked him to examine my liver. And I asked him to see if he can feel that it's slightly swollen, or do I have any swelling on my liver. And he basically examined my liver, and he told me it does seem like there is some swelling there. And I was like, that's interesting. So this woman just waved her hands and she could tell that about me. That's kind of quite interesting. So I said, let me at least go through more sessions and see what I found. See what I find. And I found that I was able to let go of a lot of my stress. I was feeling more happier, calmer, and more focused.
Well, that's amazing. Because you kind of spoke about two parts. I mean, we were originally talking about, dealing with the stress and the mental emotional factors, but it seemed like the scanning this pranic healer was doing also found the physical symptom of your liver being swollen or the what we call in pranic healing congested in energy. And it's amazing that you kind of had the opportunity to see your doctor very soon after, and he was able to confirm that because that's evidence right there that pranic healing works. So that's very amazing. So did that convince you to take the classes afterwards, to learn
No,
on your
actually,
own?
that just convinced me to get more healing sessions.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I saw the changes happening in me over the next year, and that's when I felt that I need that energy from pranic healing.
And how often did you get these healings done?
These were just a set of like 10 sessions initially, and then I came back to my school and I was doing my own things, and I
Mhm.
didn't think much of pranic healing until a year later when I had some more events come up. And that's when I realized that I have to go back to pranic healing and basically now not just get the sessions, but even learn how to do it.
And were these sessions in person, or were they at a distance?
Some were in person, some were distant. So it doesn't matter, right? Pranic healing works. You just, I mean, as long as the patient is receptive to getting the healings, it does not matter whether they are in person
Right.
or they are distant.
And that's a very important concept, right? Because a lot of people are skeptical, even things being done when you're not even in person with the healer. So it sounded
So,
like you had good
right,
results after, even at a distance.
right. But you have to remember that my first sessions were in person. And that's when I
Ah,
was told that I had a swelling on the liver. And that's when I realized,
sure,
I mean, if it was all distant, I would probably not have been as receptive.
sure. Okay.
But so I believe that if somebody is new, having some in-person sessions will be much more valuable than just distant sessions.
Mhm. That's a great point. And then kind of fast forward, you took the classes yourself, and you're doing healing on yourself. What changed there? Like what after you took the classes, what kind of changed for you?
So at about the same time, my professor had run out of funding, and I was in the program with no funding, and I had to get a job and quickly. And I was able to find a job. Actually, I moved to Seattle after that, and but I was still able to continue with my school. So all my schoolwork was done, and all I had to do was work on my thesis, which I did remotely. Uh, and yeah, so basically, I was working full time and also doing my schoolwork. And when I used to get tired, just keep on basically sweeping on myself. And I had somebody also do some healings on me regularly. So that helped me
Wow.
get through the next 3 years of until I finished my program.
Well, that's amazing. That's excellent. I mean, that's definitely no easy feat, right? A full-time job and finishing your thesis at the same time, and moving to Seattle, which is a beautiful city, by the way. I have some relatives that live there, so that's amazing. And you said you were sweeping yourself like regularly, right?
Sometimes, yeah, I used to do some self healing or maybe ask somebody else to do it for me. So I wasn't doing much actually. I mean, I only did it a few times because I really didn't have too much time for myself or too much free time. So that was a time I had somebody else do the regular healings on me.
Okay. Well, that's great to hear. I mean, it sounded like not only you just took it initially to help with the stress, but it kind of helped you get aligned and land a really good job, move to a great city, and finish your thesis. So it sounded like you got way more than you initially expected, right? Did you expect all this change to happen after, or
I did not know what I was going to find, but I knew that I had to do something, and pranic healing seemed like a very nice way to at least get the ball rolling.
yeah?
And I'm very happy I did that.
Good. Now you've been involved in pranic healing, continue to be involved. So what kind of made you stay and continue on taking the courses, going to the events?
So, as I told you, for the next 3 years that I was working on my thesis, I really did not have much time to do any pranic healing, much, or to take much classes. But as and when that ended, I knew that I have to pick that back up again. So I started taking more higher classes and more courses, and then I started to see more advantages it had in my life, and I continued on with it. And nowadays I don't just do it on myself, actually I do work on other people as well. So it is quite fulfilling and satisfying to see somebody's life heal through pranic healing.
And that's amazing, right? Because I think a lot of us, when we get started in pranic healing, we get it for us, right? How can we heal ourselves? But
Hmm.
it sounds like you know you're doing your part to fulfill the other end, right? Now, how can I help others? Which is amazing because, like you said, it's very fulfilling. And then if Narav, if you were to kind of go back in time and to talk to like your younger self that was in that stage, right, trying to complete, not drop out of the thesis program and try to, be successful in whatever career path you choose, what kind of advice would you give your younger self at that point, knowing that, now that you're in the present moment, everything's all done and successful, but what would you tell yourself back then?
I would have probably told myself to believe in myself more. And yeah,
That's it. Just believe in yourself more.
yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. And then Narab, in terms of it, let's say someone on the street walks up to you, right, and they ask you, what is pranic healing and how can it improve their life? What would you say? What would you tell them based on your experiences?
So what I really understood is that talking about pranic healing does not really help much, because some people will be receptive, some will not be receptive. They will not really understand that. So what I do tell some people, that if they are open, I can do a healing for them. If they have any ailments, physical or emotional, we can work on it. Most people generally have stress these days, so that is an easy thing to say, that, do you have any stress? We can certainly help you and make you feel more relaxed. And when they see the healing being done on them, and then they feel more relaxed, that's when they start believing in it, and that's when they want to know more about it. And that's the time I felt it's the time to talk more about how does it work. Because if I just, to a random person on the street who does not know anything about energy, if you tell them that these are the chakras, these are the energy bodies, they are not going to be able to relate to us. And another thing we have seen in as part of Austrian Pranic Healing Group is that we have healing clinics, healing nights every Monday evening that we all go to, and we do free healings on people who show up. So in some cases they are just brought over by their friends or family, right? They don't know anything about pranic healing, and then when we don't tell them too much about it. We just do a twin arch meditation, and then we do the healing on them. And in some cases they feel better. Well, I hope that most cases they feel better. Some of them choose to continue to come back again, and that's when we tell them more about pranic healing. And so many of them eventually took classes and also became pranic healers. So that model really helped us.
Well, that's excellent to hear, and it sounds like that firsthand experience, like you were saying, even initially for yourself, right? Being in person when that
Right.
person was scanning for your liver, and they were like, "Oh, it's a little bit swollen." That was that initial, firsthand experience that really compelled you to continue to get healings and eventually take classes. But for most people, as well, it seems like the model that you're saying is successful in helping people understand about energy, right?
Correct.
Because, like we know, energy is a hard concept for a lot of people to understand
Right.
initially.
But what I realized, that instead of talking about it, if you show them that this is how it can help them, then they are much more receptive to know more about it.
Well, excellent. I think this conversation is really important, right? Because it just shows the power and also simplicity of pranic healing and how
Mhm.
it can really just change your life for the better. And I'm so happy and grateful to hear about your experience and your sharing your story, Narav, because it's very, very inspiring, despite being very simple, right? Same thing like pranic healing, simple yet effective, is what Master Choa said. So to leave our audience, what would be one last word of advice you would leave our audience on regards to pranic healing based on your experience?
Who's the audience? Patients or pranic healers?
The audience are both non-pranic healers and pranic healers.
So I would say, if you're a pranic healer, practice and improve your skills, because when you show the results, you will automatically attract patients and new students. And if you are a patient, I'm going to say that if some healing is being done on you, be receptive. It will really transform your life in many ways, not just health, but in many other ways.
Yeah, and just like for you and your experience, and of course, I have many experiences in my books too. So thank you so much, Nara, for this exciting conversation. I mean, I think that more and more, I'm finding that, especially within the pranic healing community, we have so many amazing stories of how we came to pranic healing, how we got started, and how we continued. And your example is, one of them. And I'm so grateful to hear and to know you as a pranic healing colleague and friend. So I appreciate your time, Rob, and thank you so
Thank you.
much for joining me. And yeah, I think that this episode really helped even our audience, especially those that aren't familiar with pranic healing, really understand the basic concepts. And I think that we haven't had that episode yet, and I'm grateful for your time and experience.
You're welcome. Thanks for
All
being.
right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Pranic Healing Podcast. We hope to see you in the next podcast.